All right, man. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is. Excuse me. I had the mic on mute. All right. So look, man. Oh man. Drake is canceling more shows and more shows and more shows and more shows. So we're gonna watch this video. Fantastic Hip Hop. Drake canceling more shows, and there's one thing I could say as a Kendrick fan. Kendrick never canceled this many shows. I think this is a problem, and I think we need to address it. Let's get it. All right, man. So let's go, man. Let's go.
Now, when it comes to Drake, well, now, if you're ready to see how after a week of drama and chaos all around the Drake A Wish Foundation circus that they are trying to call a tour, finally, after all the lies and deception from Drake and his team, an entire tour just actually got canceled? Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and now really.
Bruh. I didn't know the whole tour got canceled. I thought he was just canceling a couple of shows. Is this actually true? Did he cancel the whole tour? It must be something. It got to be something. There's something big happening or coming. There's no way in the world Drake canceled his whole tour. It has to be a reason for this. I'm going to give Drake the benefit of the doubt. It has to be a reason. There's no way in the world you're telling me that you canceled the whole tour, my nigga. How did you do that? How and why? I'm sorry, something's going on. Something's going on.
What we are about to look at and discuss today is going to be bad, and no matter how anybody wants to spin it, well, Drake has now failed to complete the shows that he promised to set out on? Well, some people are not gonna like this, and it is gonna be an emotional one for them, because really, while already Drake's Some Special Shows for You tour with Party Next Door is already struggling, well, now with this already, it's already looking like nobody wants the tickets to these shows, and they are already starting to be canceled and shuffled around in terms of the dates and scheduling to try to avoid the inevitable, which of course is that Drake is about to get ran out of yet another set of shows. Well, now, aside from these current mess of Spice shows that Lawbury wants all of these Kendrick Lamar obsessed people to come out to and sing OVO themed karaoke at, well, before we can see how much trouble that's all,
I think the problem with Drake, where he runs into, is he's doing too much. And I think that he's trying to keep up with Kendrick, but he just can't do it. He don't have, I'll be honest with you, maybe y'all might disagree with me on this. I don't think Drake really is confident in a lot of his music. I think that Drake, this is the reason why he keeps making a lot of music. I don't think he's as confident as in his music as other people are with theirs. I think he knows that people like his music, but I don't know. I did see something where he said that what album was that he said was his best album? Nothing was the same. Yeah, let me know in the chat. I already know y'all know.
and when it comes to the first failure that Drake made on the global stage when kicking off his I'm Scared of Kendrick Lamar World Tour, well, now, and just like the 50 plus songs that Drake wants you to forget about before he started this whole Iceman rollout, but if we want to look at the failed tour he did before the failed tour that he is on now with the Anita Max Win series of concerts, well, now, unfortunately, back to that, after Drake wrapped up the tour where he was walking around with holes in hoodies to try and counter the move of Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show, because again, this is how rational and reasonable people respond to this, which of course is with this. Well, somehow, and I don't even know how this.
Well, I think that another major problem that Drake has is he keep on referencing the battle. I think he need to just chill. Honestly, think that Drake would have been fine if he would have just go ahead and just chilled. I think right now, him doing all of these things like that, I knew that was going to be an issue. That bulletproof holes in the hoodie thing, I knew that was going to be an issue because you're not from the streets, and I knew that was going to be an issue. When Kendrick said once a lane, always a lane, did you thought the money, the power, the fame would make you go away? Nah, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I think that that's his problem right there. I think that's Drake's biggest problem.
could have happened, things have gotten much worse there, as if we remember, Drake literally had such little motion during this run of shows that after struggling so terribly after Kendrick changed rap music and the course of art forever at the Super Bowl, well, things got so bad that Drake quote-unquote postponed the final 4 shows over there, but what they said exactly was that this tour was not actually canceled, but that it was just going to be moved back to a later date because travel logistics could not be figured out for a tour that they had to plan months in advance for, all because of the travel logistics, because of course this is Drake and that makes sense. And now, of course, when we heard this garbage lie, we already made fun of this, and we saw that this meant that Drake was...
That's definitely true. How you one of the biggest artists in the world? You having traveling logistic problems and all this stuff. Like, there's no way in the world you telling me that you having issues. There's no way. There's no way in the world you could tell me you got issues if you one of the biggest artists in the world. I'm not trying to hear that. That's crazy.
Failing to fill up arenas and move crowds in ways that he really wanted to, so of course then he just ran away and went right back into hiding. Well, now fast forward to now, and after the OVO stands and Lawbury lovers were trying to really convince us that Drake-A-Wish would come back to these shows, and he would be doing weird giveaways while people sang his
I just noticed that when he opened the elevator, the Pinocchio guy was out there. Is that it right there? Hold on. Is that? Nah, that's something else. I actually thought that was the Pinocchio dude standing. You could see the reflection of the Pinocchio dude. I guess not.
After the OVO stands and Lawbury lovers were trying to really convince us that Drake-A-Wish would come back to these shows, and he would be doing weird giveaways while people sang his karaoke, and he just walked up and down on stage like the all-time grifter that he is. Well, I can finally, fully, officially, and 100% say to all of them, well, now this is never gonna happen, and what Drake and his team now tried to quietly do, albeit while they are on the road for another series of shows, was finally and officially cancel the tickets that the few people who had the burden of having these Drake tickets on them for months did. And now after making the announcement that these 4 final Anita Max Win Tour shows were never going to happen, and this is a good one. Let's just read the statement that these arenas who laid away dates for this and got nothing in return had to tell the people on behalf of Drake and OVO, which straight from the crash out themselves says, despite extensive efforts to find a solution, rescheduling within the necessary time frame was not possible. And then they went on to say Drake remains committed to returning and performing these shows when his schedule permits. And now obviously what this means is...
So it was the Anita Max Win Tour that got canceled, which we all kind of figured that was going to happen anyway. But that's crazy, bro. All of those people was waiting for you to come and you'd end up... That's crazy.
Drake is never going to be back here for the rest of his career unless Kendrick Lamar releases another diss track that causes him to hide out on the other side of the world. And so with this mess, and let's remember that these final shows were canceled on February 28th, and everybody only heard what was going to happen to their tickets 5 months later. Altogether, we are just seeing so much from what Drake and OVO are all about, as now for most artists who do care about their craft, and as a result and extension of that naturally their listeners and fans, well, most artists would never have their fans out like this and literally have them uncertain about these tickets that they got, which are sitting around and there's no date and they can't do anything with them other than just wait for a refund. Well, this is not who Drake is, and really now what he has stood for is the gold standard for unprofessionalism in the entire entertainment industry, because...
Yeah, I understand how people feel about that. I could just imagine the feeling of a person who's really a super Drake fan, and they push the date back and abruptly just cancel the whole joint. I could, man. I'll be mad, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be mad.
Really, after running away here and hyping up that this was your first tour back in this setting for the first time in almost a decade, well, now to not just run away from it and cancel the tour, but do it the way you did, which included never really facing the reality of your failure and not ever telling people up front that the events that these few people who did want to go to were seemingly excited for were not going to go down. Well, with this, I have to say, if you're a Drake fan out here right now, I want to feel bad for you, but I'm not, because you can go see Kendrick Lamar later in the year, and he is going to deliver an 1,000,000 times better show. But seriously, for the loyal Lawbreeze who have sat through an entire year and more at this point of the worst fall-off in hip-hop history, in terms of legacy at the very least, well, now after supporting and standing with somebody so far that you have seemingly separated yourself from rap's reality and very ethos of why it even exists, and then on top of that, you don't just not like rap music anymore probably, but you're supporting the most mid and boring music for him.
I mean, I can't lie. He telling the truth. A lot of y'all be supporting this, knowing that this dude just basically does what he wants to do. You know what I'm saying? And he don't really care about his fans. I'm on record saying that Drake don't really care about his fans. He want his fans to love him, but he don't love his fans, not at all.
Well, now after the fans who have stuck around and they are the only reason that Drake still has any sort of motion because he has lost every single other thing he ever had going for him, well, even now with Drake treating them this bad and just showing no transparency or professionalism whatsoever,
I don't know if this dude is a little slow. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but this clip right here is kind of weird to me.
But you're supporting the most mid and boring music for him. Well, now after the fans who have stuck around and they are the only reason that Drake still has any sort of motion because he has lost every single other thing he.
This is a weird clip. Drake dancing with a dude. This is a weird clip to me. This is so weird. Look at this.
Had going for him. Well, even now with Drake treating them this bad and just showing no transparency or professionalism whatsoever. I mean, I don't know how you can defend this guy because really to just drag this.
I don't even dance with my niggas. I never. I only dance with women. I ain't dancing with no man. Yo, bro, let's two step together, bro. Nah. I go to the clubs. My niggas go. All right, go over there. I'm over here. I ain't dancing with you niggas.
Out and then to try and hide the cancellation from people and hope that nobody would see it and pick it up? Well, you gotta try to do better than this. And Drake, we are not going to let this slide because just like you told us, this time we are following through and letting everybody see who you really are, which is just a clown and grifter who lies about everything, and even without any mind for the goodwill of his own fans, just to benefit his own selfish and petty self. Really, once again, what I will say to all the Drake-a-wishes who are sitting here and getting fed up with me covering this entire mess that he has created and this fall-off that we are never seeing look worse. Well, first off, Drake is the one doing these things and failing time and time again, so take this up with him. But really now, whether you want to say that these shows were canceled due to low ticket numbers, which now I don't think that it was this exactly, but I do think it was that the tickets were up for so low that Drake was not going to get what he wanted from them, and then it wasn't filling up in total, and he didn't want to deal with the optics of playing in a half or even a 3/4 full stadium.
That's a fact. I think that's one of the major reasons why he's canceling a lot of these shows, because he don't want people to take pictures or take video and post it like, oh, he ain't selling no tickets. Because once that narrative get out there that Drake ain't selling no tickets, yeah, man, it's going to be a long day for him. I'm telling you right now.
Well, now, whether you want to say it was this, which I do think it partially was, or it was that Drake got lazy on this tour and wanted to go home and run away because he realized he would rather do a quick run as an influencer instead of trying to compete with the king of rap and Kendrick Lamar. Well, again, no matter what you want to believe and what you want to see, to be honest, it doesn't matter because Drake canceled and the message is already sent, but really, either way, with the reality of why these shows were canceled based on everything we know, I do think the truth is somewhere within both of these things and a little more, and what I ultimately think really did make Drake decide that he was never gonna come back to this place. And then ultimately following it up for these shows that he is doing now, he would only go to arenas where he felt he would never fail with the SSS for You tour, is really just seeing the success and acceptance worldwide of Kendrick Lamar, which really got bigger than ever after the Super Bowl and took hip-hop to entire new heights. And then even also with the run that Luther had, especially after what it did to Nokia, in terms of just being one of the biggest #1 songs we have seen in years, and really just with Kendrick winning so much. All while at the same time, Drake has been doing these lame old karaoke nights in a spot that he clearly so wanted to never be in, and then only even went to in desperation to run away from the Super Bowl. Well, overall, I think we can add another win to Kendrick Lamar's resume, because he really just made Drake realize that there is no point in embarrassing himself with these shows, and stopped people from wasting their time at these lame old karaoke fests. But
that's one thing you gotta understand, man. When you on a high, you on a high. I think Drake, he didn't capitalize off of this battle. I think he should have performed those songs, Push Ups. He should have performed. Family Matters. He should have did all of that. You can't do it now. It's too late. And you took those songs down. That's why I said I don't think Drake really believes in his music like that. I think he just does it because he's kind of stuck doing it, to be honest with you.
really now altogether, between the laziness, lack of care, and the losses that have never stopped coming to Drake and OVO, we are really seeing the full effects of everything that has went down here, which is showing us that we are in a reality now where no matter how you want to stand for it, Drake has canceled a tour with no good reason whatsoever, other than that he is lazy, scared of reality, and to really see where he stands, and that he does not care about whatever fans are actually out here. And really now, has Drake really tried to cover all of this up while at the same time going to another tour with Party Next Door? Well, overall, this should just be a wake-up call that Drake really does not care about his fan base whatsoever, and really, when it comes to earning his fans' presence or their time, you're really just a number to him, and he doesn't care about how you're moving and what it means for you to get to one of these shows and what you may have to do to even get a ticket. And when you compare this to Kendrick Lamar, who doesn't just show up to his shows but gives them everything he has, while at the same time bringing together a stronger than ever fan base by going around everywhere and just having everybody come together by celebrating something they love and a musical culture that is so strong. Well, I can really just end this off by saying now that as Kendrick Lamar has broke records in Drake's own city for the GNX tour now, meanwhile Drake just had to cancel yet another run of shows because things got so bad, I'll ask it again, and a lot of the Drake fans aren't gonna like this, but once again, just tell me, who won the beef? And so now with all this said,
You're absolutely right about that. Who actually won? You can't sit here and say that you believe Drake won if Drake keep failing. So Drake is so big that even his failures, people are not noticing yet, but he is. But you'll start to see it. I'll give it another 6 months. You're going to really start to see a lot of stuff change. So, but thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is, man. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I might do that reaction too. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I might do that What's the Dirt reaction because I want to see what he actually has to say. So it might happen. All right, man. I'll see y'all on the next one. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is. Peace, bye.